Joining me right now, American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp. Matt, it's good to see you.
Good to be with you, Trish.
Yeah, so this is a guy that they used to kind of hate. Now he's suddenly, the poster child for impeachment, and they think that he can help take down the President of the United States. I think, there's something else going on as well. And what intrigues me, Matt, is how many NSC people are involved in all this. What's your thought on that?
Well, two pieces of information I should relay. Number one, John Bolton served on the board of the American Conservative Union for a very long time. He's a close friend, and I think that there's a lot of people hyping up this story that somehow he would be a corroborating witness to the Adam Schiff, ridiculous case that he's making in the Senate. And look, I'm not so sure. I'm sure John Bolton is plenty upset at the way that he lost his job. I'm sure he lost out in some scuffles with Rudy Giuliani and others. Having served in the White House, I lost out in scuffles too. But the last thing in the world John Bolton should do is anything that lends credence to the idea that there are any crimes associated in this impeachment. And furthermore, why would somebody who is such a strong leader on having a strong national defense do anything to help Bernie Sanders become the president? And I think that, and I'm hoping.
Well, maybe he's hoping it's not Bernie Sanders. Maybe he's hoping that it's Joe Biden. I mean, there's a school of thought out there that believes Nancy Pelosi actually timed this whole ordeal so that she could knock out some competition in Iowa.
I don't think that's paranoid. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think people like Nancy Pelosi are scared about Bernie Sanders. But let me tell you something, Trish, if you look at these polls, the Democratic Party is morphing into a socialist party before our eyes. I don't care if these D.C. Democrats are going to try to stop Bernie like they did the last time. It's what the activists in their party want, which is why so many of these New Hampshire and Iowa polls, and by the way, nationwide polls, which I discount, but even the nationwide polls are giving Bernie the edge as the national leader.
Let me play for you something that the president sent out a little while ago, which actually seems to be at odds with what has been reported about John Bolton's book. Because if John Bolton was seeming to suggest, as has been reported, that somehow the president was trying to strong-arm Ukraine, this is a very different story. Let's cut to the clip.
We'll be meeting President Zelensky. He and President Trump have already spoken twice. President called to congratulate President Zelensky on his election and then on his success in the parliamentary election. They were very warm and cordial calls. We're hoping that they'll be able to meet in Warsaw and have a few minutes together.
Warm, cordial calls.
Right.
So, look, I hear you. You like the guy. He's a friend. You've worked together. Maybe he's trying to sell some books. But I am troubled. I'm just going to put that out there, Matt. I am very troubled by the number of NSC people all around this, that the book was leaked after having been seen by the NSC.
I agree with you.
Adam Schiff hired a guy that used to work at the NSC, the alleged whistleblower, maybe at the NSC. I mean, there's just too many NSC people around this. And when you think about deep state, that's exactly what people are worried about.
I agree with you, Trish. You're exactly right. Look, as I said, I worked in the White House. I dealt with the NSC. The problem for Republican presidents is the staffers at Foggy Bottom at the State Department, and less so, but also true at the Pentagon, are detailed over to the NSC to a large degree, and they're not political appointees. So when you hear Adam Schiff and other people say, well, these were appointees working for the president, really the facts are the overwhelming majority of them are not political appointees. They're career officials that probably voted for Hillary Clinton, probably hate what the president's trying to do. And in Schiff's, in the House proceedings on impeachment, you could see it in witness after witness. There's snarling disdain for President Trump's independence of the deep state and having his own mind on foreign affairs, which is exactly what the American people did.
Well,
that's exactly what we wanted to happen when we voted for him.
That's how it's supposed to work.
That's right.
Earth to NSC, Earth to the State Department. That is how it's supposed to work.
And Trish, look, on John Bolton, he is someone who has been a great conservative champion, and we haven't heard from him yet. I don't like what I'm hearing and reading, and if you're right, if this is all an attempt to try to kind of undermine the president, then I'll be the loudest critic of that. But we haven't heard from him yet. We will hear from him at some point, and I'm hoping that he will reiterate his support for the president.
We'll see. Matt Schlapp,
We'll
thank
see.
you very much.